Uric Classic Whole Body Tonic is a dietary supplement, not a drug. Therefore, it is useful to affect the structure and/or function of your body in various ways, but it is not intended to and will not cure, mitigate, treat, or prevent any disease. Individual testimonials may not be everyone's experience and do not constitute scientific evidence. Uric Corporation does not make any drug or treatment claims for its product.
Greetings, everyone. The Tonic Man is here once again. It is Easter Sunday. It is the middle of Passover. Blessed and happy to everybody. We'll soon have Ramadan. We're going to have a bunch of other great religious endeavors in the year and the months to come, and we will celebrate them all. We are so happy you are with us. We have a tremendous guest tonight, Dr. Scott Whitaker. We met probably, around 2005 or thereabouts. And I remember going to a presentation we were having in Denver, Colorado, and he was the guest speaker and the guest of honor. And he talked to us about a book that he had written. The book is called MediSin, but it's not C-I-N-E, it's S-I-N, MediSin. This book is an incredible read. So if you don't have it, he was gracious enough to give us a price of $10. We are selling it at the same price we paid for it, and you're welcome to order it from home office. It's a matter of fact, we put it on our shopping cart to make it available to everybody. So you really should do yourself a favor and learn what is really going on behind the scenes in the world of medicine and healthcare in this country, and probably a lot of other countries. Well, tonight he is in the Middle East, and he's calling in. I guess it's in the middle of the night or the middle of early morning, and he's going to call us to give us an overview of the virus. Now, Dr. Whitaker is really well-versed in all the inside information, the stuff we never hear of. Through his contacts that he has here, there, and everywhere, he stays abreast of all of that, and he's working now on a new book. I'm sure a lot of that will appear in it, but at the moment, we're waiting impatiently for his new book. In the meantime, you should read the first one. There is a page in the book that he added there after he met us. In the next printing after he had met us, he added a new page on the tonic, and he talks about the tonic and what it can do for a body, what it can do for any body that has blood in it. So, of course, we have tremendous success stories from people who are giving it to horses, to their show pigs, to their show steer, to their cats, dogs. I mean, it is incredible what this product does for animals. Just about as incredible as what it does for humans, which seems to be just about everything because it rebalances a body. That's how it works. But along the way, what we did not really understand to the extent that we started to understand after Dr. Mowry wrote about our product, and that's on our website where he tells us it's the most incredible immune system booster. So look, folks, we're facing danger here, and everything you can do to strengthen your body. As a matter of fact, all the authorities every day on TV are telling people, keep your distance, do social distancing, wear a mask, and build and boost your immune system. They all add that. Why? Well, because that's our protector. The immune system is what protects us, and what is there to fight back against whatever is going to try and do us under. So, people probably just don't realize what an important system it is, this immune system of ours. And so I'm just telling you one more time to boost it any way you can. Eat properly, sleep properly, try and have a little less stress. Take anything that will boost it. One thing that I know about that I've been using that boosts my immune system is something called JC Tonic. It happens to be doing that job as well as many others. It's a whole body preparation, so it looks after the whole body, all the systems, all the glands. It touches the whole body. That's the important thing to take away from this call. The JC Tonic is a whole body tonic. It will do it all. And it'll do it big time. The folks that are drinking it regularly do not get colds anymore, hardly go to the doctor anymore except for their checkups. In other words, their bodies are in better shape to stay well. So they are staying well, and in my own case, in my humble opinion, is that it does work because I don't get colds. And I talk to people who have been drinking it 10, 20, 30, 40 years. They're not getting colds anymore. They're not going to the doctor any longer, or very seldom. They don't have any major health issues because the body is staying healthier and maintaining, and apparently is regenerating itself like it used to when we were much younger. So our bodies are born usually, except if there's an occasion where it's not, but usually in pretty good shape and is able to look after itself. But as we get older and we are constantly bombarded with all the bad guys, it starts to deteriorate. If we don't keep it maintained, particularly the immune system, we're letting ourselves open to all kinds of illnesses, which is what you see in the United States in particular. I did not realize it, but the U.S. prescribes more medication than most countries combined. I mean, in this country, it's 80% more than in any other country. Why is that? Well, look at the health of your neighbor, people in your family. People are suffering from not one, but 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 different things. Listen to the call a few weeks ago or 3 weeks ago to Robert Davidson, who his list is so long. I mean, it's just amazing how many things are wrong with his body. And there are tens of millions, not tens of thousands, millions of people in the same situation. They really, really are in poor health. And so make sure that you spread the word, get your friends to drink it. You drink more. Make sure your children are drinking it. They're going to be exposed to not only this virus when it's over or so-called over. There's other stuff out there that we want to protect ourselves from. And we don't want to keep looking back and keep wearing a mask and keep thinking, shall I shake a hand or shall I give somebody a hug? We want to be able to live life like we used to. And so what better way than to have a strong body that it won't matter if somebody has a cold, you're not going to get it. And that's the case when you drink JC Tonic in most cases. We have so many reports, so many success stories, so many people that it can no longer be said it's a fluke. Not a fluke, folks. If you listen back to the stories that we have on the website, read them, and on all the emails, I mean, these stories are everybody. It's a cross-section of humanity, of people who have had results and then are staying well as long as they stay drinking the JC. And when they drink enough or more than they really need, they will just reinforce the body even more. And that, folks, is the immune system. So I'm waiting for our wonderful guest, Dr. Scott Whitaker, to appear online. He may be having a little challenge where he is. He's in Bahrain, and maybe he's having a challenge getting online. But we are waiting patiently, and in the meantime, I just want to tell you that those of you who do not know already, we have made extra special effort to give a special price to everybody so that they can start using more tonic and help themselves and their children and their family. You have to get your older folks in your family drinking it. You have to get the youngsters. Make sure that everybody's on it. This will at least give people a little better chance. Now, nothing is carved in stone. You just never know. But if you practice what they're preaching and you also are able to boost your immune system, the authorities say you have a pretty darn good chance. And it's the key of the immune system. The rest, staying 6 feet apart, that's easy. Not shaking a hand, that's easy. Putting a mask on, that's easy. But building your immune system, you don't know how weak it is, how strong it is. You'll never know until it collapses on you and you end up with some kind of a problem. And that's what's happening to people today. And those, unfortunately, that are dying from this virus, they keep saying most of them are already compromised, have diabetes, have high blood pressure, have a host of other illnesses where their immune system is really weak anyway. So it makes it even more important if you have folks in your families that are suffering from any of those. Get them going on the JC Tonic, and at least maybe it'll help. It's worth a try. It sure will be an easy and an inexpensive way of keeping your body out of harm's way. So here I am waiting for my pal, Dr. Scott Whitaker. And let me see if I can find him somewhere. Dr. Scott Whitaker, if you are on the line somewhere trying to get in. Let's see. Dr. Scott Whitaker, you are on the line. I've been looking for your phone number. What number are you calling from?
The Skype number, so I don't know what comes through.
Oh, you're on a Skype number. Let's just take it away. Folks, here, as I told you, is Dr. Scott Whitaker, doctor of naturopathy. He wrote a tremendous book called MediSin. He's on the line with us now from Bahrain. We woke him up. It's, 4 o'clock in the morning, Dr. Scott? Please tell the folks what they need to know about the virus, what you've discovered over your few weeks here of research, and then, of course, tell us how it can tie into the use of the wonderful, miraculous JC Tonic. It's all yours.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. Greetings to the JC Tonic family. Betty, also to Betty, who has been helping me tremendously arranging this event for today. This is Dr. Scott Whitaker. Well, what can I say? We are in a massive change of life for the last 3 months. A lot of it has been planned. I don't call it a pandemic. I call it a plandemic. And there's a lot of evil hands involved in this whole scheme. I'm kind of have to do it in a time frame where I can do some back history so that we can lead up to what we have today, and then go into, of course, the solutions and what else to do, what else to look for regarding our families, our livelihood, because these are critical times. But just to give a time frame on where we are now, when this whole virus thing kicked off, it looked like they started giving it to the news like late December, early January. I always go back at least 3 months from there when they start showing their horns and starting the fear mongering. And as I've always taught, that fear, FEAR, is false evidence appearing real. And this is their masters act. Okay? And when I say they, I'm talking about they is the hierarchy enslaving us. There are only 5 corporations that control the media today. That's where our news comes from. This so-called corporate news or mainstream news is only controlled by 5 corporations: AT&T, Disney, Comcast, National Amusements, and News Corp. News Corp you may know of as Fox, and National Amusements you know as Viacom. And that's where the madness starts, is from the media. And since they have the airways, they can say what they want. They can put false numbers on the screen. They can inundate you daily about what they think and what they want you to think. So we take the time, and I go back, like I said, at least 3 months when they started this nonsense. And if you recall, if some of you were paying attention at the time, in August, they started talking about e-cigarette, and they said that they were alarmed that the children supposedly doing this thing called vaping, VAPING, vaping. And it was causing what? It was causing respiratory failure, pneumonia-like diseases from this so-called vaping. And I said, what is this? And they pushed it. Even a New York Times article, you can look it up yourself, August 8th, and they talked about large lung pneumonias were being seen throughout the country. The U.S., August 2019. Okay, so put that timeline in your mind. That's August. Then in September, there were 2 very, very important meetings that took place on a global scale. One was a conference in New York called ID 2020, okay? ID 2020. And this conference was sponsored by Microsoft, the Rockefeller Foundation, and the Global Alliance for Vaccines and immunizations. It's called Gavi, Gavie. Okay? They had this conference in September 2019. The next conference that they had was in Davos, Switzerland, by the World Economic Forum. And in that conference, they announced that a coronavirus vaccine would be developed. Okay? This is September 19. We go 1 month later, exactly 1 month later, on October 19th, 2019, and there was an event in Baltimore, Maryland, called Event 201. In this Event 201, there was a simulation exercise done on a coronavirus being released globally. Who were the major players behind this conference, Event 201? The World Economic Forum, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Johns Hopkins University, the CIA, and the UN. The simulation went on, and they even named the so-called virus and the disease that came from it, COVID-19. How strange. Also, they simulated that the economy would collapse 15% in terms of the stock market dropping 15%, which it did. It also simulated that over 65 million people would die from this so-called coronavirus. This was a planned event in October 2019. So now, 1 week later, October 24th, they had an event in Wuhan, China, called the Military Games. Now, Wuhan, China, is also the first city in the world that would actually turn on 5G network. For those who don't know, 5G is fifth generation. Right now, most of our phones are on 4G. This 5G generation is the most powerful radiation setup that they've been trying to mobilize in all the cities and countries throughout the world. And Wuhan, China was the first one. So now we're in October. We've already had the ID 2020 conference. We've had the Davos conference where they announced that a corona vaccine would be developed. Why would they announce that in September 19? Then we jump to Event 201 where they have a simulation of a coronavirus. Then they have the military games in Wuhan, China. And then 2 weeks later, they started getting reports of illnesses and sicknesses in Wuhan, China. And they ignorantly told the public that it came from some seafood place from people eating bat. And this is the nonsense that they just push through that corporate media. And for some reason, I don't understand us Americans. We automatically believe it. I'm really shocked, too, by some of the sheep-like attitude of the American people right now. Before this event unfolded, I felt that the American public really didn't have much faith in the media. But after this event started, it seems like that's not the case. So the CDC gets involved, which you know how I feel about the CDC. If you've listened to me before, they're the Center for Disease Creation, and all they do is propagate nonsense. If you go to their website in November, for careers, looking for a job, it has an advertisement for a quarantine advisor. CDC, go look it up in November, asking for job info, promoting for quarantined advisors. Okay, so I can't make this stuff up. This is a PLANdemic. Okay, now we're in November now. We're starting to get news of some sicknesses, and we look and we see that they're saying that it's a so-called virus, or coronavirus. Okay, I love to talk about this event and then comparing it to the Spanish flu, and I want to crush that right now and stop calling it the Spanish flu, because it didn't start in Spain. It started in the USA. It started in Kansas. Okay, it's just another way of how the medical industry in America tries to make it appear that something demonic and evil comes from somewhere else when it actually comes right from the U.S. itself. So this coronavirus is man-made, it's digitized, and it was developed in Fort Detrick, Maryland, at the military base there. Okay, they have biolabs. They call Biolab 4 all throughout the globe. They even have them in China. They have them in Italy. They have them across Europe. And they always are testing biological weapons. And sometimes they get released. Sometimes they get stolen. However, how it is, they get out. And the public is affected. So Wuhan, China kicks off. South Korea starts getting reports. Italy starts getting reports. Iran starts getting reports. And then the news media kicks in full gear, and then all of a sudden now the the WHO, HWO, they call it the World Health Organization. I call it the World Homicide Organization. This Dr. Tedros comes on and declares a pandemic, and that sets the stage for where we are today. This so-called virus, number one, has never been identified. So how did they start to develop a vaccine for it? Because they already knew they were going to release it. Okay. Did they bring it over to Wuhan during the military games? Possibly. Okay. But 300 U.S. military men and women went to Wuhan to play in these games. It's like Olympics for the military. Fort Detrick, Maryland is a military laboratory. So the death toll starts to be shown on TV. And every time they put the numbers up, I keep saying, how are they testing these people? Next day, they put up a number, it's 10,000, then it goes to 50,000. I'm like, well, how did they reach that many people and test that many people? Where are these numbers coming from? Supposedly they're using something called a PCR. The PCR doesn't isolate the virus. So how are you naming it? So these are the questions that start to come up. And I start really digging in. And I say, wow, the World Economic Forum, the one that sponsored the Event 201, sponsored ID 2020, they set up a coalition for epidemic preparedness and innovations. It's called CEPI. Okay. Under this CEPI, they fund pharmaceuticals. You have two companies from Germany, CureVac, BioNTech, a company from San Diego called Inovio, INOVIO, the University of Queensland in Australia, Moderna, MODERNA, it's in Seattle. They developed the vaccine in 42 days after it was announced as a pandemic. 42 days. Impossible. You had to have prior knowledge. And then the U.S. National Institutes of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, NIAID, which is directed by that little demon who comes on the TV, Dr. Fauci, F-A-U-C-I, the one that always takes over the announcements from Trump and starts talking about the numbers and scaring everybody. He's directly tied to the Moderna company, the one making the vaccine. This is why he's pushing these numbers up. This is why he keeps saying we need to be quarantined and staying in our homes. The mask is totally useless. The mask is there to create fear amongst everybody, against your neighbor. You wear a mask. I don't wear a mask. And the people will look at you. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you? Blah, blah, and all that kind of stuff. They have no knowledge of it anyway. They just put it on like sheep. But this Dr. Fauci, he's the one. He's the demon behind this. So they're pushing the numbers. Of course, their source is always Johns Hopkins. Okay, Johns Hopkins. They even have a hospital here in Bahrain. Okay, that's how big their tentacles stretch, doing all kinds of experimentation on the people. So when China got hit hard, Wuhan, what did the Chinese government do? They gave intravenous vitamin C. Intravenous vitamin C. For those in naturopathic and natural teachings, we know vitamin C has a direct effect on viral loads and viruses. And so the people in China recovered. They never tell you about the recoveries. When you talk about the so-called cases, they never talk about the recoveries on mainstream media. They don't want you to know about recoveries, okay? Because Anthony stated, the immune system is the key. Most of Americans have damaged immune systems. And what I'm noticing also from these numbers is that those who took that flu shot in 2019, particularly the elderly, are the ones succumbing to this bioweapon called Corona. This is what happened in Italy. The area in Italy, Milan and Lombard, northern areas, elderly population, average age of the deaths in Italy were over 80. In 2019, Italy did a mass vaccination of the pneumonia vaccine called PVC-13. And what are they saying the people are dying from? Pneumonia. South Korea also started using intravenous vitamin C. The people recovered. Now South Korea and China, they're all back to work. They're back to work. They're not in their home. Okay. Then Iran was also hit. Of course, Iran is so-called the enemy of the U.S. Iran's epidemic was caused by aerosol. They use drones. They don't have any biolabs by U.S. laboratories. So this is how it took off. Now the blowback happens and it arrives in the U.S. Washington State got hit first, supposedly real hard. New York City, New Orleans, and the numbers kept going up. They kept doing the fear-mongering, quarantining. Quarantining does nothing for healthy people. I told people when it first started that the worst thing you could do is stay indoors. You need to be getting contact of new air. I'm not going to call it fresh air because I don't know if the air is fresh anymore with all the chemtrails they're spraying on us. But you need to get new air and you need sunlight, okay? Those things destroy so-called viral loads and viruses in the system. Sunlight and air. Matter of fact, if they just would allow herd immunity and left everyone alone like they did right now in Sweden. My brother's in Sweden right now. They don't have any lockdown, no quarantine. They have no issue there. They want to break the will of the people, keep them indoors, keep them from touching people. We are social human beings, social creatures. So to isolate us, as if like they do in solitary confinement in prisons, it breaks the will. It breaks your spirit. It has you questioning people now. Think about it. When we're supposedly going to be done with this madness, one day you'll be looking at your neighbor different. Oh, should I go up and shake his hand? Should I give him a hug? Oh, all kind of psychological issues will come from this. I mean, the death rate is so low. It's not even 1% in terms of the numbers, not making light of those who may have passed, those who are on the JC Tonic family who have members that may have passed recently within 3 months being labeled with the corona. I like to see the the death certificates. But in terms of numbers, percentages, the common flu kills 3 times more than what the so-called corona has done. Yearly, 120,000 per year from just the flu every year in America, 120,000. We have over 600,000 die from drug overdose and alcoholism. We're not having no quarantine for that. Over 10 million die worldwide from abortions. 10 million. There's no quarantine for abortions. So what's the issue? What do they want coming down the chute from this plandemic? I came up with a list of some things that I've seen that's developing. Number one, of course, the quarantine and martial law. They want to overturn of the right of freedom of association, right to assemble, and a right to travel. They want a cashless agenda. Did you notice that Dr. Tedros from the WHO, the World Homicide Organization, stated, we can't use cash anymore because the virus can be on cash. So we need digital currency. This is what he said. Number 4, I have about 15 of them. Of course, a global financial crash, which they stated in Event 201 that it will crash over 15%, the total market. I think it went 21. Rolling out of digital currencies, the cover for 5G rollout, surveillance, censorship. YouTube and Facebook and all these companies now, communication companies, are deleting videos that may speak out against what is going on. You can't even say the word corona. They'll remove you. Censorship. The big one, the one that I fear the most coming out of this garbage, is the vaccination. This is where ID 2020 comes in. That other demon, Bill Gates, is constantly talking about we need to have vaccination certificates. Why is he a spokesperson for the medical side, Bill Gates? He wants vaccination certificates. That means he wants us to be vaccinated with this thing that's coming from these companies. God knows what's in it. And that your history, your background, everything will be in this vaccine, which means to me that it must be microchipped. You'll be tagged. Go see the movie World War Z, and they show it in that movie about this tagging. Let's see. I said mandatory vaccinations, human microchipping. They want to effectuate a genocide in China as well as a global depopulation. Now, one thing I did leave out is the reason why China was attacked so viciously is because China had a program called the China Belt and Road Initiative. Look it up. China Belt, B-E-L-T, and Road Initiative, in which they were creating a new Silk Road into Europe, which threatens American dominance. The first country to accept in this road initiative was Greece. And do you recall a few years back when the Greece economy collapsed? That was the reason why, because they accepted. The EU was totally against China coming into Europe. But when the Greece economy collapsed, who was the first one to come to their aid? China. The next country to accept was Italy. Oh, that's why Italy is getting in trouble. Huh? The reason why Russia said no during the OPEC meeting and said, no, we're not going to stop producing, and dropped the oil price to almost 20 a barrel, was to kickstart China's economy after being hit by the coronavirus. Because China's economy was basically destroyed from this. Russia and China are friends. I have no problem with Russia. I actually think Putin is an okay guy. But these strategies, these alliances with countries, as the U.S. likes to call them, the axis of evil. No, there's no axis of evil. It's actually countries that actually are helping their own people. So the China Belt and Road Initiative, this is why China was hit hard. They're all through Africa. They want to come through Europe. They're already in Asia. So they have the number one economy before this event even started. The one, their currency, is backed by gold. What's the dollar backed by? So this is an economic war against the people. They got people now out of work, which is devastating. I've never been one to vote for presidents and politicians and all these crooks. Never. But I've been listening and watching Trump's moves during this whole fiasco. And I have to say, for the first time in my life, I said I agreed with a president. And he said we had to go back to work. I'll support that 100%. More people will die from not working than this virus. The suicide rates are going to go through the roof if they continue this so-called lockdown. The last two things I had on here for what they want to obtain through all this madness is to advance the Greater Israel Project by disabling Chinese, Russian, and Indian support for Iran. Infect the entire global population with the coronavirus so that future outbreaks can be triggered via vaccines, 5G, and chemtrails. So how do we protect ourselves from this? I tell the people, tell my clients, stop listening to mainstream media. You have to. I know we're all tied to those phones, and I don't have a Twitter account. I don't have any of that stuff like that. So I'm not getting second by second information on some type of trend that's happening. I don't know anything about that stuff. If you tune in just to see what lies they're telling, and then you turn it right back off. That's usually what I do. When I know they're about to do the little briefing and give the little numbers, I turn it on, say, okay, let me hear what he's going to say. Let me see how Trump's going to react. Let me see how this demon Dr. Fauci is going to say, and then I turn it right back off. They want us to sit in our homes all day and being inundated with Wi-Fi and radiation all through the house. I tell everybody that if you do have Wi-Fi, you need to make sure you turn it off at least at night so it's not affecting your sleep, because it is, okay? So first thing we do is release the fear from our minds, from our hearts, okay? This is also a period, since we are at home, for those who haven't been spiritually connected to the Creator, this is the time you need to start getting spiritually connected to the Creator. Number two, the diet. As Anthony stated, the American population, chronic health issues. Now, the deaths that they always attributed to corona, I don't believe them. The people have preconditions, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, kidney diseases. All these types of chronic illnesses are now, if you die tomorrow, they'll put and say that you died of corona. This is how it is. They're just grabbing numbers and grabbing people and labeling them. I told somebody yesterday, I said, if Kobe Bryant's helicopter crashed in the month of April, they would say it was corona. This is how sick this stuff is getting. Everything is a corona death because they need the numbers. They got to keep the numbers up to keep you in fear. And then the outcome is that they want to bring that vaccine. Okay. So number two is diet. Hopefully you're not at home just feeding your face with processed foods, refined sugars, microwavable items, drinking tap water, all the things that destroy your immune system. So that if you do come in contact with this corona, you begin to break down. Hopefully none of you have been vaccinated last year. Hopefully you stop doing vaccines for you and your children. Vaccines don't cure anything, and they don't prevent anything. It's just a way for companies to make money at your expense. So diet. What are some of the things we include in our diet? Of course, they're limiting us now in food. So they even stopped telling people they can even buy seeds. What's that all about? They want us dependent on the government, cannot buy seeds. This is what I was told by one of my clients that went to the store. So the foods, you can't get organic, then you just have to get the freshest you can find and wash it up very well. Use hydrogen peroxide or vinegar to wash off your fruits and vegetables. You want to make sure that you're drinking pure water, either that's distilled, reverse osmosis, or spring water. If you're doing any types of animal products, hopefully you can get them hormone-free, grass-fed, excluding pork products, excluding tilapia, excluding catfish. Go outside. If you're too afraid to even walk out, or just sit on your porch or sit in the backyard, get some type of sunshine. Okay, vitamin D, vitamin D, vitamin D. The people who, as I said before in my lecture, the people who get skin cancer are the people who stay indoors. This is where the JC Tonic comes in as your immune boosters. And when you look at the development of the JC Tonic, the herbs involved in this development, the tonic itself is an antiviral, anti-corona. You have the herb horehound in the formula. Horehound is a powerful protector of the respiratory system. It's one of the herbs I use individually as for coughs. Severe coughs is horehound. So we have horehound in the formula. It's already protecting your lungs. With this coronavirus attacking is the lungs. You have the herb peppermint. All menthols are outstanding for any respiratory issue. You have thyme. Thyme has the highest frequency of an oil of any other plant on the planet. High frequency. We're electrical beings. We have frequencies, and thyme is one of the highest for a food category, meaning that it protects the overall immune system. We have licorice in the product, because licorice feeds the adrenal gland, feeds the nervous system. All this negative news that you're getting, it affects your nervous system. That's the purpose of negative news, is to affect your nervous system. You know, every time you hear something negative, your thymus gland shrinks, and your thymus gland produces T cells, the little guys that go out and look for invaders in the body, the T cells. We have the celery seed in the formula, which is great for any sodium issues, high blood pressure. Pressure is definitely going to go up when you read all this negative stuff. So this is excellent. Celery seed. Horsetail in the formula, we know it's high in silica. That's anti-radiation. Takes radiation out of the body. Because we're sitting at home with Wi-Fi and hit radiation 24/7 now. And then, of course, the king of the herbs, alfalfa, which means father of foods. It's actually an Arabic word, alfalfa. The roots of alfalfa go down in the soil 20 feet and pick up all the minerals that the Creator has given us, and then transforms it into edible form that we can consume in alfalfa. So getting all your nutrients and minerals in alfalfa, that's in the formula. So the JC Tonic, maybe Anthony might want to put on there anti-corona protection, you know.
Will you come and visit me in jail?
We don't want to do that.
No, for sure not.
We don't want to do that, but that's basically, it is protection. So again, people, don't be alarmed. I know the negativity is there. They're masters at it in terms of using fear, false evidence appearing real. Trump wanted to get everybody back up and going by Easter. Unfortunately, that Dr. Fauci jumped in, and now it's supposedly going to maybe take place at the end of April. We'll see. But in the meantime, those are the things we have to do. Turn off the mainstream media, get the best food you can find or get or grow. Take your JC Tonic. Those who need an additional boost, maybe feeling a little feverish, sore throatish, you can add an additional vitamin C of 5,000 milligrams per day and zinc of 30 milligrams a day. Viruses cannot replicate in the presence of zinc. So I think with that, I don't want to keep oppressing you with my information. Oh, 2 books I need for you to possibly go read during your time at home. One is the author's name. It's a smoke. It's called, his name is Dean Koontz, Koontz, Dean Koontz. And he wrote a book in 1981. It's called Eyes of Darkness. And then that book, a virus that takes place in Wuhan, China. And
that broke up. Could you repeat that name?
The book is written by Dean Koontz, Denkoontz, Dean Koontz.
Yeah.
Eyes of Darkness. I think if you look for it now, I saw last time on Amazon, it was about $800. I think some people now have been able to download it. Written in 1981, and it
$800. Wow.
Yeah, because I'm always finding how they expose these people, and they mention specifically that a virus would come from Wuhan, China, and he goes into detail about it.
You mentioned that in the book?
Yes.
Holy smoke.
And then there's another book who I actually met this author before she was murdered. Her name was Sylvia Brown, and she wrote a book in 2008 called End of Days. And she wrote specifically, she said, in the year 2020, a respiratory virus would sweep the globe and kill blah, 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 and then you won't hear about it anymore. And then she was killed in 2012. Her name is Sylvia Brown. End of Days is the book. So those are two books you can massage yourself around and see that this pandemic has been in effect for over 40 years. Okay? I just want to summarize. We are currently in a lockdown as we have time to reflect. It's important that we act cohesively and in solidarity with those who are victims of this crisis. People's lives are in free fall, and the purchasing power has been destroyed. We cannot trust the World Homicide Organization and the powerful interest groups behind it. And we can't trust these actors they have behind the multi-billion-dollar global vaccination project. And we definitely cannot trust the Western media with all their fear-mongering. This is an act of economic warfare against humanity. And I will close at that.
Well, Scott, I'm on the floor. I can't tell you how just hard it is to come to grasps with all that, but I'm glad you put it on the table.
Yes, I'm sure it probably shook up a lot of J.C. Tonic family because
for sure it did.
The media is telling a different story, but that's not the story.
Well, their story to me has always been the crooked story. You just can't trust them. Period.
No. You have a better chance of being greeted by the devil than these guys.
Wow. Well, Scott, I'm sure you opened my eyes. I'm sure you've opened a lot of folks' eyes, and I appreciate you very much for coming on and spending so much time giving us that overview and waking up in the middle of the night to do so. And we do our very best to get this out to as many people as we can so they can all think on it. There's a lot of food for thought there, that's for sure. And folks, as Dr. Whitaker just said, it's in the immune system. It's all in the immune system, so you know what to do. Boost that immune system. It's true. Eat good food, drink good water, have a decent night's sleep if you can get it, and double up on your dose of JC Tonic. Scott, I much appreciate it, and I thank you so very, very much, and we will talk with you real soon again.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Betty. Of course, I'm Dr. Whitaker. I'm at medisins.net, medisins.net. And my email is drwhitaker@hotmail.com.
Perfect. Anybody who wants to write him and dig in, go right to it, and he will do his best to help you out. Super. Dr. Whitaker, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye for now. So, folks, there we are. One more time, and that's it. You've heard it all. We will get this email out to you as quickly as we possibly can, and you can listen to it and make notes. There's a lot of meat in there, so when you re-listen to it, you'll be able to take some notes and try and make some changes that will help you and your family and loved ones, okay? So thanks very much for being on the call, and we will see you next week. So don't forget, take an ounce and feel the bounce. Good night for now.